Hey, it's Craig Valine again. And if you're just joining us, we're with my friend Dan Kimbell, who's a 30-year veteran IP attorney. Dan, I wanted to ask about what some of the best practices for patentability and field of art patent searches would be, because it's a big world out there, and certainly those free patent searches that you might see online may not do everybody justice. So what are some of the best practices for that?
Yeah, they in fact do very few people justice. So I'm not a big fan of those inexpensive online patent searches. They usually are not worth the trouble, even the limited amount of money you pay for them. So there's a few best practices. First is you need to design or define your search objectives. So you have to clearly define the scope of the search by identifying the technology and the invention, and you want to assess it for patentability and understand within this field of the art. That'll help you focus your search and save you a lot of time. Next, if you're doing this is all if you're doing your searches yourself, there's different criteria if you hire somebody, but I guess you still want to identify the search objectives anyways, but let's go back to it. So next is you want to identify the appropriate search databases. The patent offices at the US, the European Patent Office, the World Intellectual Patent Office, WIPO, and Google Patents all have databases, and you can use these databases, which are free, to do some online searching. So they're basically keyword searches, and it's not a bad place to start. Even if you're going to eventually hire a search firm, I think it's a good idea just to familiarize yourself with what's out there. They also have advanced search techniques now. I mentioned that there's Boolean searches where you just use keywords. There are some more sophisticated tools that allow you to use search syntax and advanced features like Boolean operators and or not, wildcard like the asterisks or question marks, proximity operators, and search specific fields like title, abstract, claims to refine and designate your search. As a general rule, it's good to start with a broad search topic because you don't really know what's out there. So you start broad, and then as you see what's out there, maybe if you find like 5,000 hits, you want to narrow it a little bit because nobody has time to go through 5,000 patents. So you start narrowing after you kind of get a sense of what you're finding. And if you look in one area and you're not finding anything, you might change the focus of the search a little bit to see what shows up. So once you've obtained references, then the next step is you analyze the patents. What I usually do is I look at the abstract. That's a part of the patent. It's at the end of the patent, but sometimes it appears at the beginning, like in European patents. And then you and then also look at any kind of drawings to get a sense of, does this disclose kind of what you're working on? If not, pass on, go to the next one. You have to move fast, otherwise you'll be spending, tens, if not 20, 100 hours, easily. The next step is to refine your search. Once you kind of looked at some of the patents, if you're on the right track, continue. If you find out you're not getting good hits, then you may need to refine the search a little bit to see if you can find some better keywords or different focuses. Another thing you should do is consider non-patent literature. So I mentioned that there's these patents, but in the US, there's over 12 million patents, and there's tens of millions of foreign patents. But there's also non-patent literature. That would be scientific journal articles, trade journals, magazine articles. There's a whole universe of things that aren't patents that can potentially disclose inventions. So it's a good place to look. And when we do professional patent searches, we look at non-patent literature, including scientific and journal articles. Leverage the classification system. So every patent office in the world, including the US, uses a classification system where they categorize all the inventions. So let's say if you're looking for a safety system for nuclear power plants, that's classified. Let's say maybe pressure relief valves, so you can actually search for those classifications and terms. So that's one thing. It's a little bit above my pay grade, actually. So, but it's something, if you want to delve into it, you can. It's certainly there, and it's free if you want to spend the time. A very important pointer is document your search strategy. If you've spent all this time and you didn't bother like recording what you're actually doing, and then maybe a month later you have to go back, you will have forgotten where you looked, and then you have to start over. Please don't reinvent the wheel. If you've done all the work, record your search strategy so you know what you've looked at and don't have to go digging up again in the same non-fertile ground. I think the last point I'll make today is consulting a patent professional. I've mentioned, some of the key things you can do, but they're quite difficult, actually. Patent searching is an art besides being a science, and I've done it in the past. I don't do it anymore. I find it's too time consuming. So when I work with clients, I always recommend working with search professionals. Search professionals we use are based in the US, and they have expertise. They're all former patent examiners, and they know what they're doing. They have the most sophisticated tools, and they're good at using the tools. So it's cost effective. It saves you time and money. The worst thing is to get a pile of irrelevant information that's not categorized for you. So if you get a professional search done by a search firm, it will be categorized. It will highlight the important prior art, and it will give you some direction to go. Otherwise, you're really going to be spinning your wheels. So in conclusion, remember, conducting a comprehensive patent search or a field of the art search can be time consuming and challenging, but it really is crucial in order to give you guidance on whether or not something's patentable and whether it's worth it. Otherwise, you're simply flying blind.
Talk about a thorough answer. Thank you very much.